On Working Week this week, we're at Nottingham's biggest jobs fair.
Really popular, a lot more popular than we thought. We started to run out of supplies actually.
And I'll be finding out how difficult it is to get a job in Nottingham.
The demographics of unemployment are changing in Nottingham. We've certainly seen a lot more older people out of work in the last couple of years. It's something that we're very conscious of and we're trying to do something about.
And I'll be looking at the phenomenal growth, you didn't think I could say that, did you? Phenomenal growth of micropubs here in Nottingham.
It's just about conversation and good beer, really.
Hello, I'm Rob Pitton.
And I'm Des Coleman, and this week we're at the Abdication, which is a micropub on Mansfield Road opposite the old brewery house.
Don't forget that bit, and what a fantastic setting this is, Des. And before we go any further, I've just got to check the running order.
My glasses. Do you know, Rob, guess what we're talking about this week?
What?
We are talking about our favourite subjects, beer.
Glasses.
Oh.
Yeah, very good. I'm with you all the way. Because last week I was laughing at Des for wearing glasses. I felt very, very guilty. So here's mine, which I need for reading. And this tells me that before we get to the fun stuff of the beer, we're going to take a look at a very important subject. Nottingham has been holding its biggest jobs fair of the year, and Helen McCulloch has been along to check it out.
An audience of around 5,000 people are piling into the Capital FM arena. The Panthers aren't playing and no bands are warming up. People are here to find a job.
It's going all right. Hopefully I'll find something soon that I enjoy.
With more exhibitors than ever before, over 75 companies are here and recruiting. And those looking for work have plenty to choose from. Street League aims to turn around troubled youngsters and train them as football coaches.
I basically went from being completely unemployed. I had qualifications to sports and whatnot. But yeah, just getting into them sort of roles was hard enough. And then, you know, I met one of the guys at Street League. I signed up to the program, took the program, and then from there I went on to do some more sports qualifications. And then I seen basically a vacancy come up at Street League, and then I applied for it, and then went through all the interview processes and whatnot, and eventually got the job. So it's took me from, you know, being completely jobless to doing something what I absolutely love.
With new pubs and restaurants opening in Nottinghamshire, catering jobs are also available.
We're looking to recruit a brand new team to start beginning of October, so anything cleaner, bar staff, waiting on staff, a kitchen team, all the way up to an assistant manager.
We don't ask for any experience for our customer service assistant positions, we just think it's more about the personality at George's.
Caring for others can be a good way to make a living.
We're a healthcare agency based in Mansfield, so when nursing homes, hospitals are short-staffed, we send in agency workers. So we predominantly work with healthcare assistants and qualified nurses.
High street stores are also looking for workers.
We're from Primark. We've got 50 Christmas temps positions available today, then 8-hour positions and 20-hour positions, weekend and weekday. After that, we do keep on probably around 40 to 50% of the people that we take on.
We're recruiting at the moment for personal shoppers and delivery drivers. We've got a range of hours that suit most people. We're quite flexible and we're just looking for happy people that want to come and work for us, really.
This jobs fair also features an international zone for those looking to work abroad, such as cruising the 7 seas.
Seabourn is an American cruise company, but the front of house staff on board within the hospitality department are British and European. So we recruit for restaurant, for bar, for housekeeping, and also for chefs for the galley, for the kitchen on board.
Construction workers are in high demand, with this company hiring people to rebuild a town devastated by an earthquake on the other side of the world.
Today we're trying to find all ranges of construction workers to assist over in New Zealand in all aspects or in all areas of New Zealand, but we are trying to help with the rebuild of Christchurch City, which obviously was heavily devastated from an earthquake in 2011, but there is a lot of opportunities over there for all types of construction.
Nottingham City Council hopes events like this will go some way to bringing down unemployment.
Well, this is our big set-piece event. Each year we do a Nottingham Jobs Fair. We've got 75 exhibitors here today, which is the most we've ever had. We expect about 5,000 people, and in the past we've created upwards of 500 jobs on this one day alone. So it's a really important event for us. It's a really important statement about the importance of helping people get into jobs in Nottingham. And as you can see, it's very busy and successful.
And is it a good time to job hunt in Nottingham?
You know, all the ingredients are there. We have a growing economy, we have employment, we have businesses. We've just got to make sure that we match people who don't have a job to the opportunity.
And there is another event, this time for young people, at Nottingham Racecourse next month. the What Next Careers Fair will take place on Monday the 6th and Tuesday the 7th of October.
So we've been hearing about jobs fairs, and our focus is very much this week on where you can find employment in Nottingham. Let's take a look at the broader picture now with Richard Baker, who's the business editor at the Nottingham Post. And Richard, how do you see the job situation in Nottingham at the moment?
Well, all the signs have been pretty good. We've seen over the past few months that Nottingham is at the heart of the fastest growing part of the UK economy, and we've seen businesses in survey after survey say that they want to take more people on. We've seen the jobless figures coming down, so on the face of it, things seem to be doing pretty well.
What kind of jobs are they? People often say that they're just all part-time or temporary.
There are some real concerns about that. There are worries that trade unions have expressed about whether or not there are too many temporary jobs with people on low wages. Now, there are two views on that. Yes, we'd like to see things getting better, but we shouldn't be really surprised that that kind of thing has happened when we come out of recession, because businesses are still quite cautious. It's been very, very difficult for them, and the last thing they're going to do in this situation is take on loads of full-time staff on high wages. And we also need to be a little bit less sniffy about temporary jobs, because there are a lot of people whose personal circumstances mean that limited hours at different times of the day are exactly the kind of thing that they're looking for.
And you're saying that we've just come out of a recession, and we've been in and out of recession over the decades. Let's take the broader picture, anything we can learn from history.
There are certainly some big lessons from the past in a place like Nottingham. I think that we can all look back to the time when firms like Raleigh used to be the absolute hub of the local economy. But what a lesson Raleigh presents us, that there was something that all it did at the end of the day was make bicycle frames and wheels. That was exactly the kind of jobs that could be exported abroad, and that's exactly what happened to Raleigh. And we need to be careful that in the future we create more jobs that can't be exported. And what we're talking about there is, for example, the science jobs at places like BioCity, and the skilled people who work within some of the bigger businesses, whether that's Experian or Boots or Capital One.
So if you were looking for a job, or if you were looking to change a job right now in Nottingham, what kind of sectors would you be looking at?
I think that what I'd be looking to be is a scientist in coffee. And the reason why I say that is that science is one of those industries that can't be exported. And if we look around us in a place like Nottingham, in fact where we're standing right now, there seems to be an insatiable demand for people who want to go out and have a cup of coffee. You want to go and work in a coffee shop, you're not going to go wrong.
I've just recently got a job, and it's nice to spend my own money.
Yeah, I love shopping.
And yourself?
I just like all the different styles that come out and just try new things.
I'm excited to get something different, something new.
When you get something that's on sale and you feel so excited that you've got a good deal.
I don't know, like when you get new clothes, you feel kind of like special. So like you feel like I don't know how to explain it.
What do you like? What do you like most about shopping? You love it that much then?
Yes.
Come here. What do you love about shopping?
The buzz it gives you when you get a bargain.
Okay.
Yeah, and finding something quirky.
Let's be honest, we love shopping in Nottingham, and last week we promised to take a closer look at a Nottingham shop that's been transformed. You might remember Hopkinson's on Station Street as a hardware seller. Well, now it's a department store selling vintage bric-a-brac and antiques. Rooms which once sold nothing more than screws and nails are bursting with the unusual and the eccentric, all spread over 4 floors.
Customers love it. They come in and they're blown away with how big the place is. You know, a lot of people just come on the ground floor and then we say, have you been on another 3 floors? And they're like, what? A lot of people come in and say that they remember it first time round, so I think it's really good with nostalgia. People always say, oh, I'm wanting to find this thing from, you know, my childhood. Can you get hold of it? So I think it's good for that.
It's a new addition to the Nottingham shopping scene and also provides an art gallery, a coffee shop, and holds exhibitions too.
I think they're really cool. Yeah. I think it's really nice.
I don't think there's anywhere like this in Nottingham at all. A lot of people come in and say it's like something you'd find in London. It's just really different, genuine vintage and genuine antiques, and yeah, I just don't think there's anywhere quite like it. Nowhere is kind of multifaceted, and you know, it's such a huge building with so much going on. You always get so many weird and wonderful requests for things that people want to buy or events that people want to put on. I think there's even going to be a yoga studio at some point. So yeah, I think we're quite a unique thing in Nottingham.
Hopkinson's prides itself on selling the unusual. Sometimes though, it can be very unusual.
We've had like Victorian hemorrhoid cream in like boxed brand new before. That was incredibly strange. Found that upstairs one day.
So I don't know where that came from or if it had been used or anything, but that was very odd.
It's not known who bought the cream, but there would have been a grateful buyer somewhere. The developers behind the shop are hoping to expand that ethos of selling something different across the city.
We've already got 2 other sister stores in Nottingham. We've got Daphne's Handbag on Mansfield Road, and we've got Vintage Reclaimed Boutique, which is in the new Cobden Chambers. Our directors are opening Cobden Place, which is going to be full of independent designers. So, you know, we're kind of branching off in loads of kind of different directions. So who knows? I think it's quite exciting to not know what's around the corner.
Was this like the one that they had in that, was it Joey or whatever it was? Can you remember that? It was like the 3 brothers or something. You're too young, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's great, isn't it? I just love it. Absolutely love it.
So the next time you need to lay your hands on some Victorian hemorrhoid cream, or there's that Christmas robbing card you've always wanted to send, Hopkinson is hoping you'll head for them.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for now, and in the second half of the show we'll be looking at microbreweries.
It's a very, very competitive marketplace. There are more microbreweries in the UK now than there have been in the last 70 years, so that's a lot of competition.
And we'll be looking at the other end of the business with micropubs.
If you provide something that's different, with different beers, a community-style approach, then almost certainly you will be successful.
And we'll be speaking to the landlord here at the Abdication.
Yep, you're around, Des. See you in a while.
Welcome back to the second half of the show, and we're going all micro.
What does that mean? You don't know, do you? What he does mean, though, is that we'll be looking at microbreweries, remember them?
And micropubs.
Real ale drinkers are finding it's great now to be able to go into a pub and find a beer that's brewed locally.
Yeah. And we'll be hearing from the landlord here at the Abdication, who pretty busy guy, actually. He's going to take a few minutes to explain what it's like running a place like this.
We've had too much of this.
You've had that much. That much.
I'm such a wuss.
But first, let's take a look at the business side of the brewing industry, Des. And along with the growth of micropubs, microbreweries are becoming pretty popular too.
Yeah, and we've got a great one in Nottingham. Rhiannon Meehan's gone along to take a look.
I'm here in Hucknall and I'm visiting an industry that's becoming increasingly popular in Nottingham. So Anthony Hughes, you own the Lincoln Green Brewing Company, but you've not been doing it that long, have you?
No, May 2012 is when we opened the brewery here.
Well, I'm quite intrigued to see what a microbrewery looks like, so do you want to give me the grand tour?
Sure, come this way.
Okay, thank you.
The whole process of brewing starts really with this, which is the malt that we use for the beer. And we mix all of this malt with water from a hot liquor tank in the corner in a vessel that we call the mash tun.
And where does your malt come from?
This malt comes from Crisp Maltings, which is based over in Norwich.
Do you mind if I have a look?
So absolutely, yeah. That particular malt that you've got in your hand is torrefied wheat, and it tastes a little bit like popcorn.
Oh, right, oh, we've got a visitor as well.
And this is Bo the brewery dog.
Are you quality control, Bo?
She's just going to check it out.
So I'm going to sit there and just see what's going on.
Absolutely.
So what happens to this next?
So the malt's then mixed into a porridge-like substance in the mash tun. We leave that then for an hour so that we can start to extract sugar from it. And it's the sugar that then turns into a liquid with the water, which then makes the base of the beer.
And can we get to see any of that happening?
Absolutely, yep.
The brewing process is lengthy, and the mashing alone is really time-consuming.
So some people say that baking bread is the best smell in the world, but I disagree. I think this is the best smell in the world.
Well, what's it smell like?
It smells really malty. It's a bit like Ovaltine.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic smell.
You're getting a lot of nice fumes up there.
Definitely.
So how long does does this process take?
The mashing in takes about half an hour, and then we leave it for an hour so that the water and the heat start to extract the sugar from the mash. It's a very simple process, but it does take quite a bit of time, yeah.
So from putting the malt in to the end of the process, how long is that?
You're probably looking at about five hours, 6 hours if you include the clean down as well afterwards.
And how much beer do you produce in that time?
In total, nearly 2,000 litres worth of beer, which is a lot.
So it's a hard 5 hours worth of work there.
Nearly 4,000 pints, so yeah. This is one of the most popular hops at the moment, called Citra. Ooh. And if you pop it into the palm of your hand, and then to get the real aroma out of it, then take a leaf, crush it with the palm of your hand, and then that releases the hop oils, and then you can then...
So it's really lemony. Oh, it smells a bit more sort of woody and rich now, doesn't it?
That's it. You start to get much more of an idea of what that flavour's going to be like when it then comes into the finished beer.
So what point of the process do you put these hops in?
The hops are added throughout the boiling process. If you add hops at the beginning of the boil, they add bitterness to the beer. And then the more that you add towards the end of the boil, the more aromas start to come through. So when you actually lift the pint to your nose, you get that really nice sort of hoppy, citrusy sort of flavour.
And are these the flavours that people are going for, more citrusy ones?
Very much so. At the moment, there's this, particularly throughout spring and summer, you've got this real sort of popularity of citrusy beers. As we start to move into autumn and winter, we start to get sort of more malty beers, and beers tend to get a little bit darker and heavier.
So it's the public that dictate the flavours you make?
It is, yes. Sometimes we'll sort of start off with maybe an experimental brew that we'll put out there and see how that goes. And if it proves popular, we brew more of it.
And so what's your favourite?
I'm a big fan of citrusy, nice, light, hoppy beers.
Martin Castledine is checking the health of the yeast to see whether it'll produce good beer.
Okay, they're absolutely fine and they're all ready to be pitched into the beer as soon as it's ready.
I went up to Sunderland to a company called Brewlab that does microbrewing training and spent some time on a course there and learnt a lot more about what's involved from a business perspective, and decided that in Nottinghamshire there was perhaps a gap within the market for a 10-barrel microbrewery such as this. Went for it, used my redundancy money, got some bank funding and bought the brewery. It is very tough, without a shadow of a doubt. It's a very saturated market. There's an awful lot of microbreweries that have opened up even since we did back in May 2012. So there's an awful lot of supply, and of course you'll have also heard that many pubs are now starting to close down, so it becomes quite challenging. Primarily because of that declining number of pubs, that we wanted to establish our own chain of pubs, as it were, starting with Robin Hood and Little John in Arnold, just so that we've got a guaranteed customer base for the brewery to be able to sell to.
More and more microbrewery owners are realising the importance of having their own pub to sell their beers.
This photograph above the mantelpiece was taken in about 1920, and it shows the lovely old building, one of, if not the oldest pub in Arnold. We've turned it back into a traditional alehouse, so 2 rooms, the traditional lounge, nice and plush, and the home brewery bar, where it's a little bit more spit and sawdust.
It's still early doors, so the place is quiet, but Anthony says that the pub is thriving.
We worked with Everard's Brewery down in Leicestershire on a scheme that they call Project William, where basically what they do is they purchase the building, which is the biggest outlay, and then they lease that building to us, but they fit it out as though it's a Lincoln Green pub. So for us, it's our own business. We're able to sell all of our own beers.
Yes, so what can I get you? Okie dokie.
And the locals seem to be enjoying having local beers on their doorstep.
I'm local, so you drink local beers, and well, yes, beers, but you don't drink these mass-produced stuff where you go in a big pub where there's no personal, ambience and all this lot. It's more personal when you come to these pubs.
I think the bigger pubs, you get a lot of hassle, don't you? More trouble when they're drinking all day.
I like it. I like small pubs better than the large ones because it's more personal.
We used to have 3 regional brewers. Sadly, they've all gone. But on the positive side, we're now finding that we've got, within 20 miles of the city centre, over 40 different local breweries. Absolutely amazing. I think it's all to do with offering something different. What you tend to find is that the local microbreweries are generally community-based. Anthony, Lincoln Green Brewery, is based in Hucknell, and it's the only brewery in Hucknell. He's supplying beers to a local area. He's providing beers that have been deliberately and carefully chosen, which he feels are suitable and compatible to the local tastes.
And do you think there's money to be made from microbrewers?
Yes, I think the important thing with the microbrewers is that the successful ones are not trying to expand too large. They're not becoming commercial regional brewers. What they're accepting is that if you're going to be good, stay with the local community, provide a beer and a service so that you're known in that local area. Lincoln Green is an excellent example of doing that. Customers, certainly in the past, were very loyal to Home Brewery, Shipston's, Hardy & Hanson's, and when they're taken over and lost, you can't really have a loyalty to a company that's 150 miles away. But a local one, a brewery in Hucknall, where you live, perfect. Pubs like here today, this is proof that this is the way forward, this is the future.
There you go, sir. And if you want to try some real Nottingham ales for yourself, you won't be short of micropubs to choose from.
Rhiannon Meehan reporting there, and let's have a look at running another micro pub because we're in one. This is the Abdication on Mansfield Road, as we mentioned before, set up by Matt, what, 3 weeks ago, Matt?
Yeah, just over 2 weeks, coming up to 3 weeks.
So what made you set it up then?
I wanted to try running my own business, so this is my first business. I've always had an interest in real ales. I originally wanted to do a microbrewery, but there seemed to be so many of those popping up. And I visited a few micropubs. I thought this is an interesting concept. Let's have a go at that.
What's the difference between a micropub and a normal pub then?
Well, it's a lot smaller.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like someone's front room, doesn't it?
Yeah, everything's kept simple. There's generally no keg beers, real ales.
You don't have a till, you've got...
No till, no. I've got a little bus conductor's bag. Yeah. No TV, no pool tables, no electronic games. It's just about conversation and good beer, really.
And it's a few weeks in, we've just dropped in here without any real notice, and there's quite a few people in drinking.
Yeah, it's been a very good response from local people. Not a lot of pubs around here. Quite a few have closed. There's one just down the road that's being turned into housing, so I think people were looking for something like this to happen, really.
And what were you doing just 3 weeks ago?
Well, I worked on the trains as a mechanical fitter.
Big change then?
Yeah, yeah, so it's a total different.
And how's it going?
Yeah, nice and steady, yeah, it's been going well. It's good to get the whole thing actually up and running, you know, it was sometimes felt like it wasn't going to happen, but no, here it is.
Do you miss the old job?
No, not really.
And everyone always says, you know, running a pub, you know, it looks fun, but it's actually really hard work. I mean,
it is. I underestimated how much hard work was involved, really.
Give me an idea of what you do then, the average sort of day.
Oh, it's just, you know, I'm pretty much running this single-handed, so it's the cleaning, stock control, you know, all your daily checks and ordering, everything really.
You're a bit proper businessman now then? Do you feel like one?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you glad you made that change?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah. It's really satisfying.
And you don't miss the old job?
No, no. I miss the holidays.
On that note, cheers, thank you very much. Cheers. It's a nice drop, by the way.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Well, that's all we got time for this week.
You know what I've been thinking about, Rob? We certainly cover a lot of topics on this show. Hot tubs, micro pubs, what have we got next week?
Nice, isn't it? Yeah, well, next week I thought we'd maybe take a look at the holiday industry.
Wow.
Yeah. Bahamas for me, Skeggy for you.
Sand is sand, Rob. Sand is sand.
And Skeggy. Cheers, everyone.